You are presupposing this shit, bro.
Well,
You
what does
know
that matter though if it works? Like I said, okay.
What do you mean? Of course it's gonna work. You
Of course
start
it's not gonna
presupposing
work.
it's a sphere, bro.
If it's
If
flat,
you
it won't
start
work.
presupposing it's a sphere and you're trying to figure out it's a sphere, you're gonna figure out it's a sphere. Are you kidding?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's how logic. Oh my god.
You can set it up.
wrong,
If you
man.
have a cube, if you have a cube, right? A cube with 6 sides, then you know locations on the cube, right? And then you try and make that fit a sphere. It's not gonna happen, man.
Okay,
It's not
unorthodox.
going to happen.
Unorthodox. Why would you try to make it fit a sphere?
Well,
Exactly. Why wouldn't
do
you
the thing that humans do to think and conclude and serve humanity and better the society?
Okay.
He's making a false equivalency to his formal logical fallacy. So he's saying, if I'm on a sphere, then X, Y, Z will happen. And then saying, well, no, if I was to say, if I'm on a cube, then it won't work with the sphere. Well, that's not how you're affirming the consequent when you say, if I'm on a sphere, because you end up with a sphere. You don't try and prove a cube, right? That's not what you're doing.
Yes, that's kind of what I'm doing here. You know, I'm kind of showing that it doesn't work.
Yeah, but you started it out with, oh, if you measure the distance between these few cities, and then you went straight to the only way that could work is if it's on a ball.
He's got to beg the question. It's the only way to believe. I'm a believer.
This is exactly.
He has
this
to
is
beg
exactly
the question.
my challenge.
You won't get them to understand unorthodox.
This is exact.
You won't get them to understand.
No,
I'm trying,
we
buddy.
understand. No, we understand.
I'm the one who doesn't understand.
Oh,
This
you
was
talking
my
to us?
challenge to.
Was.
Hello?
Are you talking
Someone
to
tell me
us, saying you'll never get us to understand how to beg the question properly?
Yeah.
No, not big the question.
Radios.
I mean, what's wrong with logical deduction?
Who am I talking to? I've got to get this right.
Wait.
Was that Jazz or was that Was?
Was.
It was.
Which
I
was?
actually got it right. Oh, ignore me. I'm going to go and make a coffee.
All right, unorthodox. I have a question for you.
Yes.
What's your first variable in your mathematical equation? Just give me the first variable.
Let's see here. It's sine of the latitude of latitude 1.
Okay,
of,
and what is that?
position.
What is that?
That is a spherical coordinate system set up for Earth.
Jackpot.
Where is it?
Jackpot.
Where is it, unorthodox? Hold on. Just let me ask you. Just where is it? I don't know
Where's
what's
what?
the side. Okay, listen to me very carefully. Okay. When you say sine of the latitude, that is representing something in reality. I'm asking you where that is. Where is it?
Let's see here. It's between London and New York, and between Seattle and London, and between New Orleans and London.
That one sign is representational of 3 different locations.
No, those are the 3 cities I've used. It's just representative of.
So that's a coordinate you're using?
Yes, coordinate. I mean, you guys have any way of like a coordinate system set up for flat Earth at all? I have to use my given coordinate system, right? I can't just make one up.
Yeah, I am 31 miles
on a
away.
flat plane?
Hold on. I'm 31 miles away from Harrisburg, and I'm 63 miles away from Baltimore, and I'm 84 miles away from Philadelphia.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
I don't need your sine latitude bullshit. Okay,
dude,
that's where I'm
you
at.
don't think that works? Have you ever done any trigonometry? I know a lot of people don't do math, and like I said,
I asked Milo. I said, go do the trigonometry, get your 3 points, do your trigonometry, and come back. You are not gonna get a spherical result by measuring a plane. You're not.
Unless you presuppose.
What if I could show you that?
What if I could measure a plane?
I'm going to tell you right now.
This is exactly
you're
why,
not.
Travis.
Yeah.
Yes, Travis. This is exactly why he agreed to having to presuppose, because there is no way that that's going to work. So he completely agreed that you have to presuppose that you're on a sphere to accomplish any of this in the first place.
Yeah, you can, because you don't have to add that spherical. You don't have to add that spherical, little equation there. You can start with an unknown surface. You don't have to be flat, square, triangle, or nothing. You can just not plug that R in there.
Seriously, and we're asking about real life. Where does that correlate into reality? You're talking about cosines of the latitude. Who the hell uses cosines of the latitude to get anywhere?
Dude, it's not that complicated, right? Trigonometry just tells you
because you're making it complicated on Orthodox. You don't see that, bro. You're making it.
Have you ever done any
making it complicated. I don't do trigonometry. I'll say straight up. I do not do math like that. That is not my shit.
Trigonometry is 100% unequivocally true. You can show that in 30 seconds. It's just the angle.
And it's based on a radius, right?
No. So if you don't do it, how do you understand it well enough to say it's not right?
Because the concept of angles and lines precludes sphere.
No. Okay. You see what it will match with. You pick different setups. You pick a square. You pick a flat plane. You pick all different shapes, and you see if you can map out these points on those surfaces. And the only surface that works is a sphere. And it's
that's not true.
Because you've been told that.
It's not true.
This is like known stuff. And I know the math.
No, yeah, exactly.
That's presupposed. That's just what you keep on repeating to convince yourself.
Okay, I'm going to give you a thought experiment. I think you and I have done this one before, and I'm going to give it to you again. Okay, you, me, and Chocolate are all standing on a pedestal. Okay, and we're 10 feet high, and we're 10 feet apart. And then we just keep moving away from each other exponentially until we're at 10 miles. We're still 10 feet high, and we're still now we're 10 miles apart. We are all on the same elevation.
But you can't see each other, though.
That doesn't matter, dude. It doesn't matter.
Does.
No, it doesn't.
It's a long-distance photography record, like 200 miles.
Okay, you are bringing up something that is absolutely irrelevant. I didn't say anything about seeing anything. I just simply said physically we are all 10 feet in elevation and 10 miles apart. And
you're presupposing that things don't go over the horizon.
No.
It's funny because you say something that completely disregards your entire argument. You just said yourself, oh, isn't the longest distance photography like 200 miles?
Yeah, from on top of
how is that
mountain?
How is that possible on a ball?
On top of a mountain. Do you know what the circumference?
How is that possible on a ball?
Because the higher you go up, the further you can see. The circumference of the Earth.
Who's whistling? Who's whistling down their microphone? For God's sake!
Who the hell's breathing like that?
Who's doing that?
Oh my God!
Jazz! For God's sake!
Jazz,
right,
bro.
Passed out.
I think he is.
Oh shit!
He's falling asleep.
Jazz.
Oh, good Lord!
Wake up, Jazz.
It must be about 2 a.m. for him. 2 or 3 a.m.
Unorthodox. You have to understand again. I don't even know what to say. We're saying the same thing over and over and over again. Okay.
Your argument doesn't make any sense though. You can draw a straight line between these 2 points.
Stop talking. If we draw a straight line between each other, we're 10 feet apart, and then we go 20, and then we go 30, and we keep drawing a straight line, and we're all still 10 feet high. That line is not going to bend.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear or scream. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show with a tired child. Sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now, we are joined by Unorthodox, Was, The Plain Truth, Sleeping Warrior, Jose, Chocolate Saying, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Glad to be here.
Good afternoon.
I'm pretty good at baby, and I'm pretty certain she said the Earth is a globe. Pretty certain.
Good morning. This is what makes it real.
Unorthodox. You're presupposing R.
Jeez. Unorthodox. Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
You claim that you can prove the radius of the Earth.
Yes.
If I was to say that you proving the radius of the Earth is no different to you telling us that you've got a girlfriend that nobody's ever seen or knows to actually exist, how are you going to prove that you've got a girlfriend if no one's ever seen her, right?
Oh, what's happened? Bear with me a second, guys. I think I've got a technical issue.
Radius. I mean, that's the only way you can get it to work out is if you have a radius. You can't get it to work out.
But you know what? Can you tell me what the radius actually is? What's the definition of radius?
Wait. Can I ask a question real quick, just for clarification? Unorthodox, when you say that's the only way you can get it to work out, what does that mean?
It means that if you take the distance between multiple cities and you try and put it on a map that is square, that is triangular, that is octagonal, that's any other shape besides a sphere, it does not work. The points will not line up, and it will not accurately represent the distance between those 2 points.
Okay, no, that's not what Anthony clearly said, that we know that we can determine the distance between 2 points. We can do that.
Yes, exactly. That's why this proves the globe Earth.
No, you're missing the point. Okay.
I'm sorry.
So you're comparing your trigonometry and your measurements with maps that you have on hand, the accepted maps that is being presented to you, right? Is that what you're comparing to?
Yeah, I've never heard of anybody arguing that these distances are wrong or that the flight times are inaccurate.
Oh, really? I have.
No,
there's plenty of arguments.
Sorry, the distance. When you say sorry, I just want to get some clarity. When you say the distances, do you mean the distances on the maps?
Just the given distances between any 2 points on Earth. That's well documented. You can look it up in multiple different ways, and you can be certain that in certain land zones, like in America, it's absolutely 100% certain knowing the distances between the East Coast, the cities on the East Coast, and the cities on the West Coast.
Sure.
Also in Europe and Asia, on any continent,
still not
it is
answering my
100%
question.
certain that you know the distances.
You're just not answering my question. You're just repeating the same thing over and over again. So is that using a map as a reference system for those distances? Yes or no?
Well, no, not necessarily.
So what are you using then?
Let's see here. Well, it's not a map. You just look in this. You just punch in the city. And
so what is it?
Well, it's just numbers. It's like a
Oh, so you
like
use numbers, just numbers,
right? Like an Excel spreadsheet.
All right.
Of numbers.
So what you're confirming
numbers don't lie unless they're negative. These aren't negative.
And yeah.
So you're confirming that an Excel you're confirming an Excel spreadsheet is correct then? Nothing to do with globe Earth at all.
Well, that's my whole point. I can get from the Excel spreadsheet to the radius without a map and just using a little bit of geometry.
Spherical.
So if that works, then why I don't understand your argument against it. Like, if it works on a sphere and it doesn't work on a cube, it doesn't work on a plane. Like we all know the Mercator projection. It
doesn't work
massively
distorted. What are you talking about?
How do you actually measure?
Measure what? What do you mean? You drive?
Calculate, fill in numbers on a spreadsheet. How do you actually measure it?
How do you actually measure it? What you know that trigonometry is true. So you don't measure it in the sense of like taking a tape measure and measuring it. You just know trigonometry to be true. So you know this is true. What kind of trigonometry? All trigonometry is the relationship between two sides.
What kind
of ratio of the sides.
What kind of trigonometry?
This is just normal trigonometry.
But not spherical trigonometry then?
No, huh?
So you're just proving you're on a flat plane then?
No, you can draw circles with without using spherical coordinates or spherical trigonometry.
So you're saying you can navigate on a flat plane?
Sorry, it's just.
You ever heard of x squared plus y squared plus z squared?
Sorry, you're just basically saying you can navigate
x, y, z.
You're just spitting out words over my words now. So you can navigate on a flat plane then?
What kind of silly question is that? Of course you could navigate on a flat plane. Why wouldn't you be able to navigate on a flat plane?
So why is your navigation or distance between cities example proving a sphere then, if you can do both?
That's my point, is you can use the traditional, rectangular coordinate system.
Excellent. So you can navigate on a flat plane or you can navigate on a sphere. It just depends on what type of trig you want to do.
Right.
No, I'm just saying you don't have to use a
the magic word.
System.
Okay, listen. You said earlier that straight trigonometry doesn't work, and now you're saying you don't have to use spherical trigonometry because straight trigonometry works. You just said two different things.
No, you can use any. There's like 3 coordinate systems, right? There's traditional rectangular, there's spherical, and then there's cylindrical.
You said it again?
So you can, any of those 3 coordinate systems, you can draw circles with. They just have different formulas for each.
That's wonderful. None of this proves we're on a bloody sphere, does it? None of this is scientific evidence of R. None of this proves a damn thing.
But if it works though, right?
So what? Okay, I've just fixed my car. Flat Earth proven. If it works, right?
No, I'm talking about in regards to the only way you can get the locations to fit is by putting them on a spherical coordinate system.
Comparing to a map you get.
All right.
You just said that straight trigonometry
unorthodox.
works.
Just literally contradicting himself within 30 seconds. So a moment ago I got him to clarify that he was using plane trig. Now he's telling us that it only works on a sphere again. Double speaking asshole.
No, you're not understanding what I'm saying.
I am understanding you, you double speaking asshole. Yeah? Don't tell me that you can do it on a plane, then tell me that you can only do it on a spherical surface after we've literally clarified with you that you can do it on both by your own definition.
No, there was some misunderstanding about the coordinate system.
There is no misunderstanding. You don't need a sphere to navigate, and people don't use spheres to navigate.
Yes, they do. That's the only way you can get.
No, they don't. They use spherical projections on flat maps that have used spherical trig, the presupposition that they're on a sphere, to measure it in the first instance. So it's just a begging the question fallacy. They've derived the latitude and longitude systems from the heavenly bodies, as Arwen would put it. So you're just begging the question again. You're affirming the consequent. You're using the stuff in the sky to tell you where the stuff on the ground is, and then using that to confirm that you're actually on a sphere. It's the biggest circle jerk bunch of nonsense ever. If you don't recognise it, it's because you're an indoctrinated religious zealot. That's it.
Nathan, there's very few things that are true in this world.
Unorthodox. Real quick, unorthodox.
Yes.
You were saying that all this stuff only works on a sphere, right? Now,
yes.
just to take us back to a conversation I think we had a while ago. When we were speaking about how pilots are taught how to fly on a flat plane, simulators, all of that, they're taught to fly on a flat plane. And your response to that was, well, they make it that way because it's less complicated than teaching them how to fly on a sphere, right? Am I correct in saying that was you?
Yeah, that's correct. That was me.
Okay. So I'm confused. I mean, try to explain that to me, because you're saying that all of this stuff can only work on a sphere, but yet something as important as air travel, those guys are taught to fly on a flat plane, but you say that it's because flying on a sphere is so complicated that they have to teach them to fly on a flat plane. So I'm really confused as to where you come up with that?
Well, in the document you guys presented, it first presumed that the Earth was a sphere, and then from that presumption, it projected a two-dimensional flat plane. So the only way it was able to get accurate distances was by first mapping it on a sphere, and then from there it could, you could do flights. It's not doing specifically, distance between point and point. It's doing like heading and like speed, right? Like you go in this direction.
Okay, but see why that confuses me is because a sphere and a flat plane are two very different things. So how does teaching somebody how to fly on a flat plane enable them to fly on a sphere without literally just destroying themselves?
Because all you need is the heading. All you need is the heading.
All you need is the heading, but there's a whole other variable of a spinning globe that you're not putting into account. And why would you not teach these pilots that that's what they're flying on?
He's just contradicted himself again. He's just said all you need is a heading. Apparently, literally 5 minutes ago, we needed to do spherical trig, and only spherical trig for it to work.
We're talking about something different.
Oh no, it's just different with planes. My bad.
Oh, but wouldn't they use spherical trig on a plane if we're flying around on a ball? Wouldn't they need that?
Why would they need to use spherical trig?
Because it's the only way, according to you, you complete idiot. That's your point. Now we're using your point against you, and you're too dumb to realize it.
No, let me try. Give me 1 second here. Let's simply So this plane document, they did this stationary plane through mathematics to simplify the equations, because people love math and people love explanations mathematically. So let's say they say, all right, so we're in a flat plane. Let's do the math on this, and now let's make a very, very exaggerated and very complicated math equation to work in a globe too, even though we're in a flat plane. And then we present the document. All right, we started with a circular circumference of mathematics. Then we say we use this. This is the truth. And then we put it in a simplified way, but we are in a sphere. No. The way was, they did the simplified trick, and then they constructed the very, very exaggerated mathematics, so we believe in a sphere. But Alcom's razor tells you the simplified math is the answer. There's no other answer.
Well, what about the horizon, though? Isn't the simplest explanation for that Occam's razor that things just disappear over the horizon? Right?
No, not really.
No. Sorry, not that they disappear over the horizon. They disappear by the same cause of the horizon. That would be perspective. So things disappear due to perspective.
Yeah, now you've just changed the topic altogether. So now we're off what you were touting earlier. It's interesting to me that you're now choosing.
You guys didn't seem to like that subject.
No. Okay, here it is again. Here it is again, little 10-year-old boy. It's not that we don't like. Okay, it's not that we don't like what you're saying. It's that what you're saying is illogical. Okay, so here we go. Ready?
You won't even let me present it.
No, you have. You've given us your verbal salad. Okay, here we go. You've got a triangle. You've got 3 different locations, whatever they are. You're London, you're whatever. Okay, you've got a triangle. Now, draw your circle around that triangle. Okay? Now, let me ask you. Are you going to fly or drive along the line or along the curve? Which would you choose?
Along the curve, but you could connect.
You're going to drive the long way. You're going to drive the long way around. Okay. That makes sense.
You could connect lines to make a curve, though. You can turn, 100 lines into a curve. So that's how you can get it from not using spherical geometry.
That makes no sense.
So we're going back to the straight circles are made of straight line.
Yeah, basically.
Is that what we're going back to?
That old nugget.
Well, it's clear that this conversation is not going anywhere. It really is.
Just let me present it.
No, listen. I'm going to say that you've got your belief in radius that you think you can prove is no different to you telling everybody that you have a girlfriend that nobody's ever seen. So how would you prove that you have a girlfriend if everybody thinks you've not got one? You'd present the girlfriend, right? You'd prove that there would be a girlfriend. Well, we don't think you can prove radius. So how are you going to prove radius? Well, you have to show the radius. Now, in case you're not aware, the radius is the distance from the center to the edge of a sphere or a circle. So unless you can prove the radius the way that you would prove a girlfriend if no one believed you had a girlfriend, you're not doing anything more than obfuscating the point. Prove radius.
So you want me to dig a hole to the center of the Earth is what you're asking for?
Look, there's more than one way to prove radius.
Yeah, but you just said you have to like physically do it, basically.
But you don't have to dig a hole to the center of the Earth. We know that you can only get 8 miles deep, so obviously that's not one that you can do. But there's other ways that you can prove radius. For example, you could prove the diameter by a picture of Earth from space. But we all know that
that's
that
been
can't
done,
happen.
though. That's been done.
No, but it hasn't, because nobody's ever produced a picture of Earth from space.
Well, other people would argue that it has.
Yeah, but
so who's right?
A 5-year-old can tell by looking at the pictures from space that they're not real.
How would you know if it's not real? You haven't been up there to see it for yourself. How would you have any idea?
Because you can tell by the composition of the picture.
He gave you the answer in the question. How would you know you've never been up there? So how would we validate it? We've never been up there.
You're saying it looks fake.
No, you can tell. A 5-year-old can tell they look fake.
We've never been there. We don't know what it looks like. We just have to take their word for it, and that's all we have. You're saying I'm prepared to take my word for it on faith because I've never been there. I'm saying I'm not prepared to take it on faith because I've never been there.
So I was directly rebutting his response that they look fake. You wouldn't know if they looked fake or not.
You reckon all photos look fake?
No, we just know that certain photos clearly are not real.
This one on the screen right now is pretty fake to me.
Some look real?
Yeah, this one on screen was taken with a camera.
How many look real?
This one's been taken multiple times. This one's been taken multiple times. The ones of the lighthouse that shouldn't be there, that's been taken multiple times by different people on different days in different conditions.
No.
What do you mean no? Yeah, they've been taken by different people on different days, on different occasions, and we see that the Earth is obviously and observably flat. Space, on the other hand, we have to take the word of Freemasons.
I was referring to the photos of space. You reckon they all look fake? They're all fake, are they?
We have never been there. We cannot verify them. We only have to accept whatever they look like as on faith. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Is anyone else here religious? Not globe religion, but just your traditional religious?
Doesn't make any difference. It's not about religion. It's about faith. Now, faith may come into religion, but in this instance, you are taking the contents of those images purely on faith. Now, you don't have to like that. You don't have to like it.
Does anyone else have faith in God here? Or Jesus?
Yeah. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah. Okay.
What's that got to do with anything?
I'm not ridiculing
faith. Why do you have to bring it onto God when we're talking about pictures from space? And I've just asserted, and you've not agreed.
I'm not.
You've not agreed. I'm telling you. You're not saying, oh yeah, I get that. You're just saying, what about God? So I'd like you to either address what I'm saying to you, concede, or disagree. Yeah? You have to take... You haven't heard it yet. You have to take the images you are given by this government body on faith. Now, I'd like you to address that statement, disagree, or concede what I have just stated as fact.
Yeah, okay. That's a fair point.
Excellent. So you have faith. Good for you, brother. Keep the faith.
Well, the faith comes from multiple sources doing the same thing. And
really? Well, multiple miracles can give people massive amounts of faith in a religious belief. It's not scientific evidence, though, is it?
Who cares?
Well, I do. You don't, because you've got faith. That's the difference between you and I. I don't have faith in things I don't verify. You have faith in what the government tells you, despite the fact they fleece you for money every single day of your working life. You trust the people who rob you because you're an idiot. You trust the people who fleece you and tax you and take your money and keep you in servitude. You trust the people who control you. You have faith in what they tell you because you have no critical thinking. You have no discernment. You only have faith.
Rightio, if that's what you reckon.
That's a fact. You conceded it. You take these images on faith. And you went, that's a fair comment? Yeah, it is a fair comment. It's a fact. You do take them on faith. That's all you have.
That's all you can say.
No, I don't take them on faith. The pictures on screen now, I can replicate. There's no faith involved. Yeah? I can go and validate them. That's very different to just accepting what your government, who does fleece you and keeps you under control with various different methods, you take what they tell you on faith. That's it. You don't have to like it.
What was that, Nathan? I missed all of that.
You don't have to like the fact that you take their images, that being the government who control you, on faith. You don't have to like that. You can tell me that's what you think. No, that's a fact. You do take them on faith. I do not. That's the only difference here. The quality of the contents is irrelevant.
All right.
You take it on faith. I do not.
Fair enough. You do not. Don't you need to get all huffy about it?
Yeah, you base your religious belief on this and you're asserting it here on the panel. I'm saying I don't accept something on pure faith. You're saying that's unacceptable. I've got loads of them.
Right, so what?
So you're here punting a religious belief based on how much government propaganda you've been subject to, you idiot.
Hunting a religious belief.
Yes. Heliocentrism. Hello, this is a flat earth debate. You believe you are on a sphere because men have told you so. You believe you're on a sphere because men have shown you pictures of it, and you take it on faith.
No, because of the horizon, Nathan.
Oh, because perspective, something we ignore in the model. Perspective proves it, even though we ignore it. Shut up, idiot.
How does it prove it? You can, the long distance
Shut
photography
up.
record is
Shut
like
up.
200
Don't
miles.
change the subject. Shut up. We're not talking to you unorthodox. We're talking, I hope, to was.
Not Jazz.
There's like
Damn
7
it.
of you guys.
Damn.
Two of us.
Was it Jazz? No, it was.
It was.
You bastards.
It was, mate. What are you doing?
I knew it was. I thought I had it right. I checked in the break. You still caught me out. Damn you. Anyway, we're right off point now. The point is, before an orthodox hijacks it, right, you only have faith.
Well, I don't have the... Sanctus, Graffitas, Dominus.
It's directly observable by everybody on the planet.
What's that?
The horizon. That's not
faith. It's a forced effect of perspective. Something which your model, the begging the question proof of nothing Earth curve model, ignores. So what's your point? You want to use the effect of perspective to start off your presuppositional calculation? What an outrage. No, thank you.
I don't need a calculation.
You do. Everybody needs a calculation if you believe you're on a sphere. You need something to tell you why stuff isn't really there when it is, right?
Excuse me?
I hear you, mate. There's other people talking.
Yeah, it's because an orthodox, even though he wasn't the one getting grilled, you was, he now has got verbal diarrhea.
I'm getting grilled. So can you grill me again?
Yeah, you've got faith. Keep the faith, brother.
Sure will.
Good. Keep your faith in your ball-believing religion. Good for you, mate.
And you keep yours. Keep your faith in the massive deception that spanned generations.
No, I don't have any. I don't believe that. I don't watch telly. I don't watch the telly. You've just asserted something. That's a straw man. You've just asserted that I have some belief in something. You've got no evidence of this. You're just asserting it because you're a bad loser. Bad loser. Keep the faith, brother. That's all you've got. All you've got is faith.
We don't have faith, man. We walk outside.
You have faith of a massive deception. You don't have proof.
No, you've just done it again. You've just brought up a straw man. Yeah? I haven't asserted any massive deception. I've said that all you can take those photos on is faith. And now you've got very angry and told me that I'm saying there's a deception here.
I haven't got angry.
Well, you're telling me what I believe. Why would you do such a thing? I have not in any way told you there is a deception. At no point did those words cross my lips. You are now asserting that on me after I have told you, not asked, told you, and got a concession that you only have faith. Now you and your cognition has gone to massive deception. And I'll tell you why. Because you've been deceived.
Carry on.
Well, that's it. You think it's real. I'm telling you,
I got too much chicken and fries.
You've been deceived. You think it's real. I'm telling you it's just faith. Now, you're telling me about conspiracy and deception. Well, I didn't bring those things up. You did. Well, I'm now telling you about those things because you've brought them up. Deception. You thought it was real. I'm telling you it's just based on faith. Has that sunk in?
What the deception is, or
not deception? Those were your words. I've just done it again. I excluded the word deception and said, you think it's real. I have pointed out that it is... Oh, you don't like the explanation. It's not quite sinking in. I'm going to drill it in. Yeah, you said my toes are being held to the fire. Yeah, they are. That's this. That's why you're interrupting me. While I try to drill it into you was. I have pointed out that you think it's real. These photos from space, I've pointed out to you that they are only based on faith. Where you go from here is your bag. You can go to deception if you choose. I haven't done that. You've done that. Good for you, you conspiratard.
You done? Am I supposed to say something?
Do you have anything worthwhile to say?
Oh, obviously not.
Cool. We can move on to the next subject, and maybe you can offer your religious belief about it.
So, can we talk about the girlfriend?
Oh, hang on. Did you just say religious?
Yeah, you have a religious belief in a sphere-shaped Earth based on pictures you have faith in and a presuppositional value of a radius.
Right.
Yeah, that's your religion. It's called heliocentrism. It's your faith. Keep the faith, brother.
Okay.
Is it sunk in yet?
Waz,
that's your religion.
Can I ask you a quick question, Waz? Waz.
Yeah.
Why should I believe that a picture of Earth from space, that's a ball from NASA, is real when I see videos and pictures of Earth from space?
I'm so tired, I can't go to sleep, man.
120,000 feet, and there's absolutely no curve. You don't feel like there's a disconnect there?
You don't have to. You can believe what you want, as can I.
Absolutely. Keep the faith.
You keep yours.
You in what?
I'll keep my faith.
What,
you
what
keep
faith
yours.
in what?
So you there's no disconnect there for you at all.
I've seen photographs
from
120,000 feet, and I've seen curvature. So.
Hallelujah! Okay, I'm a believer. Good for you. Well done. Keep the faith.
I mean, it's a pointless thing, really.
I saw an angel once.
If it's so pointless, why are you here?
Just to say it's pointless.
Yeah, it's pointless. It's pointless that this is not succumbing to your religious belief. Just keep that belief. It's pointless to not keep that faith.
Mind you, it is 1:45 in the morning.
Look, man, this is futile and pointless. There's no point in defying your faith. Just keep it. Go in peace, my brother. In R we trust. We can deny perspective as one line between target and observer. Go in peace. In R we trust.
We trust you, Arwen.
No, in R. Radius.
Oh, sorry.
So yeah, that's it. Keep your faith. Good for you.
Gravitas Dominus.
Oh, Gravitas? Is he doing gravity there too? I like that.
He's chanting.
So what faith do you guys have? What's
your faith? He's chanting like the Catholics do, so that he insults your religious belief in R. That's what he's doing.
Who? Me?
Arwen. He's chanting like a Catholic would chant when they do a ceremony.
Oh, okay.
But he's doing it with R as the joke on you because you have faith.
Yes, very nice. So what faith? What do you guys have faith in?
Not a lot, if I'm honest, these days.
Not a lot?
No, not a great deal.
You know what I have faith
in? What
was
faith in the horizon?
When I walk outside and I'm standing completely still on the sidewalk, I believe that I'm not spitting. That's what I believe.
That's nice. Me too.
It is nice, right?
I don't feel it.
Unfortunately, I've been told that I am spinning, and nobody can actually prove that. I'm supposed to just believe it. because that's what somebody tells me. That's what that's.
So you have faith in that? Is that your faith?
There's no faith
unless
required.
Somebody can prove to me that I'm spinning.
It's like the Jazz example. It's like Jazz when he said about the balloons going up, and we said, well, there's no explanation required. I don't need to come up with an explanation, and neither does chocolate, for us not feeling anything. Yeah? It's like I don't have to come up with an explanation for there not being unicorns here. I don't have to explain that. There just isn't any.
Right. Exactly.
But they like just so stories.
On the horizon, though.
Nice and easy. Nice and easy.
Why? Do you prefer the more complicated story of I'm spinning at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, and at the same time I'm flying around the sun at 66,000 miles per hour?
You guys
should I just accept all that?
Well, flying a flat Earth hasn't really done that much.
Say that again.
Really. Flat Earth hasn't really done. What? Say what again?
Flat Earth hasn't what?
Hasn't really done a great deal.
I think there's some sort of time delay. Just carry on.
Who's talking?
I don't know. I mean, that's what Nathan is basically trying to tell you, is that we don't need to come up with stories of things that are happening that we don't think are happening. I don't feel like I'm spinning when I'm going outside, when I walk outside on the sidewalk, or I'm laying down in the park in the grass. I don't feel like I'm spinning. But somebody has looked up in the sky, right? But somebody's looked up in the sky and deduced that that's us spinning, not the sky moving around above us. That's us spinning, and now that's taught in schools, and we're made to believe that, and everybody believes that. Even though even you just said, I don't feel like I'm spinning. So there you go. But somebody's told you that you are spinning, and you just want to run with that because you have faith in what they say. I do not.
If I may add that you also have to completely disconnect yourself from the fact that your body is a sensitive instrument that will feel the minutest of change.
Exactly.
Parts of your body are more sensitive, I'd say.
Yeah, it's always more sensitive until you have to talk about the spinning, and then you don't feel that because you're not.
I mean, there are people who get into aircrafts and have to take, motion sickness pills because, they get sick as they're moving. Why aren't they taking these pills just laying down like everywhere? I don't understand.
Absolutely. I like that. Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, I'm just asking basic questions,
Or why is it that you don't lose consciousness when you jump up in the air and watch the ground fly away from under you? Like it should if it was flying at 1,000 miles an hour.
No, there's a thing called gravity.
I know.
About this radius that you claimed that you could prove.
I know.
We haven't seen any evidence of radius.
Hold on. Time out. So Anthony said that we should add gravity as something that we ask for, and we just had an Orthodox tell us. Excellent. We asked for scientific evidence of gravity as of today. You're in luck.
Well, you want me to present that?
Scientific evidence of gravity? Absolutely. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, so you won't let me do the radius, but you'll let me do gravity.
Yeah, okay. If you've got scientific evidence of it, what scientific evidence do you have of gravity?
Well, I presented 2 scientific proofs of gravity on your show.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have. I went through your method. I wrote down, I listened to your shows, and I wrote down the method that you guys presented on screen.
Yes, and on 2 separate occasions, we absolutely ripped you a new asshole as you started changing your independent variable and explaining why it shouldn't work like that, etc., etc., etc.
If I may just add, it doesn't matter what Nathan says to you. In the end, when you run to your show on Discord and talk to all them people, it turns out that Nathan is completely wrong. Nathan even apologized to everybody about presenting the Isle of Man. The whole thing Pure bollocks.
Man. It's not like I have people like Was come on, not Was. Okay, right. Jazzaconda. People like Jazzaconda come on and say, there's curve in this image, and we go, no, there's a lighthouse on the Isle of Man that you should not see.
Can we forget about the Isle of Man?
But yeah,
but that's such a small distance compared to like the circumference of the Earth. The circumference of the Earth is like 24,000 miles, like the equator, right?
What's your evidence
that's
for that?
Such a tiny.
Sorry, why are you just asserting it? Why do you do that here? Why would you just assert that you've got a radius value when we've asked you on multiple occasions to provide scientific evidence?
I just mean the equator. The equator, right? I'm not specifically saying a radius value.
Circumference,
just the distance.
Right? Circumference derived from radius or vice versa. So we want radius. That's what you guys use in your maths, not circumference.
Well, I'm just saying we know that the Earth from one point to another is 24,000 miles, regardless of the shape. We know.
And so what? So if I say I can draw a 24,000 mile line, you're going to arbitrarily decide that it's circular and wrapped around a ball?
No. My point is
that's precisely what you're going to do. You're going to call it the equator and say it's the center point of a ball. That's precisely what you're going to do. Why are you lying?
No, absolutely not. My point is just that.
That's what the scientific consensus say the measurement is.
Yeah.
No, my point is that 24,000 miles to 22 miles is nothing in comparison to that. That doesn't really do anything to debunk the globe. You'd have to get a picture. You'd have to get a picture that's like 1% of that figure.
Figure of what? What's it prove? It's just an arbitrary line, right? How does this prove anything? Why does this need debunking? Okay. You draw a line from one point to another.
Yes, 24,000 miles on a flat plane.
And what's your point?
And if you can only see 22 miles, that ought to tell you something.
What the hell are you talking about? This picture on screen now is 31 miles to that lighthouse.
It's me. It's me.
Sorry, did you hear what I just said? What did I just say?
It's 31 miles to the lighthouse.
Right.
That's nothing.
There's got to be some kind of a curve in there. Yeah, it's got to be a curve. It's not going to be straight.
Okay.
Wait,
unorthodox.
Nathan,
unorthodox.
The only other thing that they complain about on the Isle of Man is that how high was the camera when you, or whatever it is, whatever object you were looking at the Isle of Man, how high off the water was the camera or the telescope that you saw Isle of Man through? That's important.
It looks fairly high.
Unorthodox. If
thousands
you
of
see
feet
over the curve at 3 miles, how is it that you can see the lighthouse at 31?
If say that again, I'm sorry.
If you argued to us that you see ships going over the horizon at 3 miles.
No, it's not 3. It's like 7 or 8.
Okay.
7.
Really?
Give him
8.
that.
Okay, 8.
But I'm going to say good night, guys. I'm going to say good night. It's late for me.
It's been a pleasure.
Good night. Good night.
Thanks for the giggles. Thanks for the giggles. See you.
All right, keep the faith, brother. In our we trust. Together we can deny perspective. Sleep well.
I will. I'll dream about it. You too.
Dream about perspective. Don't ever bother applying it, though. Just do as the Globers do. Ignore it entirely. Get a good night's sleep. In our we trust. It's all good. Thank you very much for joining. I really appreciate it. You're probably my biggest fan.
Get a job. Right? Get a job at NASA, and then you can infiltrate them. That'll be a go.
All right, go to bed.
No need.
Go to bed.
No need. Don't need to infiltrate anybody.
So unorthodox.
Yes.
The Earth is so big that you can't detect a curve, but yet at 8 miles we can see a ship go over the curve, and then we have a lighthouse at 31 miles.
Yes.
Explain how you can see a lighthouse at 31 miles when ships go over the curve at 8.
But in addition, the horizon model is only less than 1 mile away when you're on the beach.
That's saying if you're like touching the surface and you're looking like with your eyeball parallel.
Have you not watched anything Ranty has put out? Have you not watched anything he's put out? He didn't
bury his camera in the sand halfway. That's
really
what he would need to do. Really? What he would need to do.
Yeah, he actually did that.
Did he?
He actually did do
6
that.
inches.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't seen that footage.
Yeah, interesting is a key word.
Well, so how far did he see when he buried it in the sand?
He saw the same shoreline that shouldn't be seen by any curve of the earth.
The same. Even he saw more clearer images sometimes when he was lower.
He actually dug a hole and he put the camera in it, and it filled with water about 10 seconds after he moved it.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but that's only one point, though. I mean, the Earth isn't a perfect sphere, right?
Oh, right.
There could be.
No,
so,
but
I mean, you'd have to repeat this observation like many times.
Yeah, he has done. He's done it about 50 times. He does it every single day.
Yeah, but just at that one location, though.
Right, but you just said he needs to repeat that observation 100 times, and he's doing that every single day and getting the same results.
Well, I mean, at different locations. He needs to.
Okay, listen, stop.
So there is a sphere, but England is flat.
You know, this is what I've run into with ball boys, is that it doesn't matter what you come back with.
Yeah.
They say, do this, do this, do this. Then you come back with whatever the fuck they ask you to do. And then they go, oh, forget all that shit. Here's some new stuff we would like you to do, because all that stuff that we asked you to do, that's like so passe and forgotten.
So, let me tell you my story about Slice Barcane. When I first did the Isle of Man observation, he said, yeah, Riley, go back and get it from the beach. So I went back and got it from the beach, and he said, yeah, Riley, go and get this particular town from the beach. So I went back and got the particular town, and then he just wouldn't acknowledge or credit that I went back and done these things, right? So in the end, I managed to get him into a hangout, and when I got to the point where I was asking him, why can I see this land, he kicked me.
Did he? How long ago was this?
A week ago. It's on my channel.
Yep, a week ago.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's not too great.
Yeah, it's just because there's no explanation for it on your begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective omitting Earth curve model, because we don't live on an Earth curve, and the only way it ever works out is if you fudge the figures, add a load more refraction. You know, since then the lie has got a little bit more deep. They've added a refraction slider to the calculator. You know, it just makes the lie easier to debunk, an extra layer of bullshit.
No, Leia, it can be a Nathan. It can be a flat spot in the globe. He said it's okay.
Water doesn't conform to a flat spot if it's a sphere.
Well, it could be gravity could be warped in such a way. Gravity, just because you think that the mass is distributed perfectly or something, the mass could be distributed in a way as to make a flat spot for gravity.
Why don't you tell us? Why don't you tell us?
Wobbly, wobbly, wobbly Earth.
Yeah, you saw the variations. You saw the chart. You guys showed it on your show before. It's like a chart.
The testicle Earth, yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us?
Testicle one.
It's a pretty good-looking testicle.
Anyway, yeah, we asked you for scientific evidence of gravity. Twice we've ripped it a new one, and you still come on and assert that you've proven it scientifically. You haven't.
It doesn't matter what you
Well, I
tell
did.
these people when they go back to their little Discord.
Gone quiet, Mark.
Your only rebuttal was the fact that basically my independent variable was height. That was your only rebuttal.
Yeah, height is just a cause of height. Yeah? If height, well, height is the cause of height only.
No, height was the reduction in gravity, right? You go higher from Earth.
Oh, right. So you had a presupposition in it. You weren't proving gravity in this then. You already knew gravity would reduce it. Is that what you're saying? What a load of nonsense.
No, this was an experiment. You go
What was the
up,
experiment?
and the independent variable is your height, right? And the dependent variable is the air pressure, or your weight, either or. And your only rebuttal was the height. You can't use the height as the independent variable. So that's not a very good rebuttal.
Sorry,
I might add.
Independent variable, right, is height.
Yes.
So, independent variable is also your cause. So if that is your cause, then you're not proving that gravity is the cause. You are proving that height is the cause.
Yeah, height means your relationship to Earth, Nathan. Does it not? Does height not mean distance away from Earth?
Yeah, I'll say it again. Proving that distance away from Earth is the cause, if that's what you're claiming, I doubt very much it's the case, but if that is what you're claiming, then that is your cause. Not gravity, distance from Earth.
Yes.
Right, so just to concisely wrap it up for this dimwit, you have not scientifically proven gravity.
I did exactly what you wanted, Nathan.
What? You formulated a scientific hypothesis that proved if height? Well done. You can prove if height. You were asked. Shut up. You were asked for scientific evidence of gravity, and you've managed to prove that if height, that is your cause, not gravity. Dumbass. How many times have we got to do this to you? Do you just like being humiliated? Is that what you like?
I apparently.
Yeah, now you're stuttering. If height is not if gravity, is it?
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. It's height. Yeah? They're very different words. One begins with H, one begins with G. They're different.
G is proportional to H, Nathan. That's what you're proving.
Oh, really? So you already know gravity?
No, it's a concept we've come up with as...
Oh, it's a concept. I see. My bad. There was me thinking it was scientifically valid. It's just a concept. Oh, right. Bit like measuring things in feet and inches. Just a concept, right?
Sure, Nathan.
What?
Yeah, sure, dumbass. Don't assert here. If you come on this show and assert that you've scientifically proven gravity, I will immediately kick you. One more time of you coming on saying I have proven gravity scientifically, and before you've even finished the sentence, you'll be out.
Okay, well don't you let me... You asked me to present it, Nathan, and so...
You have presented it twice, and twice we have ripped it a new one. Are you about to claim that you can scientifically prove gravity?
I forgot what was the observed phenomena in that you call experiment.
Hold on, just let me get an answer from him, Chocolate. Or Jose. Was it Jose?
I have it on screen right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, are you about to assert...
I've already done that, so I don't really see any point in going back to it.
Are you asserting now that you can scientifically prove gravity after we've ripped it apart twice and now I've ripped it apart again because you've proven height?
Nathan, if you think that that statement proves anything or makes any sense, then, you know, that's on you, buddy.
Can you scientifically prove gravity based on what you have shown us to date? Yes or no?
Given your outline... I can show you a screenshot of your the image that you showed on your podcast.
Yes or no?
And I can show you how my proof of gravity lines up with yours identically.
Proof of gravity, right? So he thinks he can prove gravity scientifically based on what he's told us, and we've ripped apart twice. Every time he comes on and asserts this, he's getting kicked immediately. Goodbye, unorthodox.
Now, there's going to be a lulling conversation now, and I can prick my ears up a little bit and just pay a little bit more attention. I think that what we need to do, Nathan, is they're obviously struggling to understand what the point of proving R actually is. And I just want to remind or repeat my words from before, because I think it's probably the easiest way to describe it. If we're asking you to prove R, we're asking you to prove R. In the same way that if you say you've got a girlfriend that nobody's ever seen, we want to see the girlfriend. So we're not asking you to tell us what colour hair she's got, or what colour dress she's wearing, or where she's going to be tomorrow, or where she's been over the weekend. We're asking you to prove that there is the girlfriend, she actually exists. And the only way to do that is to prove it. So if we're asking for proof of R, R is the radius. The radius is from the centre of the circle to the edge. Now the circle may be a flat circle, or it may be a spherical sphere, but nonetheless it's from the centre to the edge. If we're asking for the radius, you need to prove that radius. If you can't prove the radius, then unfortunately, any presuppositional argument based on R can be put to one side until you can prove that there is an R for it to be based on.
Yeah.
So let's see that girlfriend.
All of these arguments start with if the Earth is a sphere. That's the original premise that they will always come in with. If the Earth is a sphere, then there will be two rotating points around the top and bottom of that sphere. We see two rotating points at the top and bottom of that sphere. Therefore, I am on a sphere. And you go, well, you've gone and looked at those points in the sky with it in mind that you're already on that sphere, though. So you're already telling yourself that you're travelling antipode to yourself. So that's a presupposition. No, it isn't. We logically deducted it. Oh, really? God, you guys are brain dead.
The other thing with seeing the two rotation points in the sky, it can be explained on a flat plane as well. There's just two rotation points in the sky. Well, you can't have two rotation points in the sky if it's flat. Well, why is that? Because there would only be one of the three observers looking south. I agree. But where's the evidence that two observers on a sphere can look south and see the same stars? And there isn't that evidence. And even if there was, it would only help the case. It wouldn't prove sphericity, because again, you need to prove R. But at least if you've got the stars from two observers in the south looking due south at the same time and seeing the same set of stars, rather in contrast to one observer looking southeast and the other one looking southwest, which would actually prove like that the Earth's flat, then there would be more of a conversation. But there is no evidence that the stars are seen by two observers in the south looking south at the same time and seeing the same set of stars, just rotated in a different position. That evidence doesn't exist. You guys don't have a problem with that. You guys just say, yeah, it'll exist. You know, it's logical. We can deduce it. No, unless you can prove that it's true, then it doesn't make it true. It just makes it logical. So come back with some evidence of the stars if you're going to come back with evidence of the stars. But it's just like the girlfriend. You've got to prove the girlfriend actually exists.
At the equator, to think that you can't feel it or sense it is ridiculous.
Yeah. Like
the actual rotation at 1,000 miles an hour plus at the equator would tear things apart, would shoot water into the air. It just...
Hello. You're forgetting the great attractor. Oh, that's my favorite one out of, you know, in the great belief of the heliocentric model, the great attractor.
How many zeros till we get there? Zillion zeros or something?
Stop it.
But relatively, it might be going a bazillion million miles an hour, but relatively speaking, it's going incredibly slowly.
Yeah, it's like those curved lines that are actually straight. I mean, we can all see that they're straight, but we're told they're curvy.
You just don't understand it because you're too small.
Yeah, we don't understand straight lines.
And the moon changing gears, you know, because it has to accelerate and decelerate in its orbit around the Earth. The same with the ISS or any other. They have to speed up and slow down.
Yeah, there's also the first 100 miles are relatively irrelevant in calculating the Earth's curve. It doesn't match reality, so you should not consider the first 100 miles.
Yeah,
at all.
And the idea that a vacuum can exist against a pressurized environment without a membrane, yeah, you just got to, you know, gravity fixes that because gravity fixes everything. So even if
gravity does,
there's no air at 100 miles. No, there is no air to pull down at 100 miles.
That's okay. Yeah. I've got a concept that can solve that.
Maths.
Yeah, it's called gravity. It's just a concept, but that can solve it. There's no scientific evidence for it or any proof of its existence, but it's a concept that works. So if it works, who cares, man? Look, just accept it and trust it.
And you can always derive numbers or conjure up numbers to match your belief. That's how numbers work.
And I just want to address something that was said earlier on, which I was going to jump on, but I couldn't get in. One of them said, I can't remember which one of the Australians it was, but one of them said that mathematics does prove stuff, because that is science and that's better than science. Well, I'm just going to read the dictionary definition, or a dictionary definition of mathematics, and it says, quote, the abstract science of number, quantity, and space. But it's abstract, right? It's the abstract science of number, quantity, and space, either abstract concepts or as applied to other disciplines such as physics and engineering. But the problem is it's abstract. It's an abstract science. It's not relative. It's abstract. That's a problem. I don't think people will understand yet. We'll have to come back to that at some point in time, but it's not relative. It's abstract.
Yeah, what you're saying.
Well, there are actually kind of two kinds. You have a pure and applied mathematics, just like you have pure and applied science. Then you have the theoretical, you know. There really is a big difference.
Yeah. Just in case anybody's wondering, the meaning of the word abstract, existing in thought or as an idea, but not having a physical or concrete existence. So by definition, mathematics being abstract means that it is not physical or concrete in existence. And you guys seem to believe that maths can prove stuff. Sorry, it doesn't.
So using
remember, if you do not
try to prove
if you do not agree with the peer review science already accepted, if you do not have any mathematical construct or explanation in full, Please do not challenge it. Just accept it.
Yeah. You're not allowed to think for yourself. You must think what we tell you.
And peer review doesn't necessarily mean what it should. Peer review means someone does an experiment, quote, and then others look at the results and stuff and say, yeah, that seems about right. No, that's not science. That's not confirming an experiment. You do it by getting the monograph of the experiment and reproducing it yourself to try to validate it or void it.
Yep.
Not reading what others did and say, that sounds pretty good. I agree. That's concurrence.
I think that's what they've made science into, is all that peer review nonsense, so that they can keep things the way they are. You know,
it's like saying
it is so hard for a scientist that's thinking outside the box to come out and say, "Hey guys, I don't think the Earth is a ball."
Yeah, we read Alice in Wonderland,
and then for that person to not be accepted.
It's a good book. That's science.
The ball Earth is a good story, but other than that, so far it's really just that.
It's Alice in Wonderland. The way they've, merrily, 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 life is but a dream. They've tried to put that in your head from infancy. It is no dream. But it can be turned into one. Just the nature of the human spirit. Belief is conditioned into people, good or bad.
So, with regards to the radius claim and my comparison to it being like the girlfriend that you can't prove or nobody's ever seen. At the end of the day, guys, if you're going to claim that there's a radius there, and we say it's not more than the girlfriend that nobody's ever seen, then it really kind of puts it into a simple language that you guys should be able to understand. Prove the girlfriend, right? So how are you guys going to? I think we might have to spoon feed them and tell them how it is that they can prove that there's a radius, because they seem to struggle with it conceptually.
All you're going to get, Anthony, all you're going to get is, but she's got blonde hair. But
sure.
But
and we're saying produce the flesh. Let's see the flesh.
Yeah, it's not. They're just going to get. But I bought her a dress just yesterday.
Did you not see the microphone fly to the ground as you let it go?
Yeah, because it displaced the less dense air below it, right?
They will tell you that's her in the flesh.
Well, if you want to ignore your involvement in giving the microphone potential energy and releasing it, sure, it's gravity.
That's relative to gravity, though. I'm talking about the radius, which, I mean, you can apply it to gravity too, but in this instance, proof of R is the thing that we're talking about. So it's like, well, what is R? R is the radius of the Earth, right? It's the distance from the center to the outside edge, be it on a circle or a sphere. But if you guys are claiming that there's a radius, let's see it. Either prove the diameter and we can cut it in half and say that there's the radius. In other words, prove that there's an Earth, there's a ball there, or some other suitable method. But you're going to have to start telling us what these methods must be, because we want to see R. We don't want to see that she's got blonde hair, she wears high heels, that she's unemployed or she's got a car. We want to see R. We want to see the girlfriend.
It's a snazzy car. It's not just a car. It's the best.
I got it. Hold on. Let me Google it. I'll be back.
It's a Yugo from Yugoslavia.
You had them cars?
Oh, yeah. We had 2 for 1 on Yugos. You could buy one for like $3,200 new and get a free one. Just buy one, get one free. They were that bad. Yeah.
I remember that car.
Sounds like a ladder. Yeah.
Well, there's a comedy place on St. Lawrence Boulevard in Montreal, and they bought up a lot of, old ones and stuff, and they cut them to make the booths for, the tables. Really? They have pianos incorporated into the dashboard of another and stuff. It's a comedy center, but it's also decorated in Yugos. Wow. It might not still be there, but it was for years.
A great ticket draw.
Oh yeah, it was popular. Nice place.
But see, it doesn't really.
You in Canada?
What I want to get at is it doesn't matter what we say. By the way, does anybody here know enough math to be able to tell these people that you cannot fit the amount of fuel that they claim a jet plane carries in its wing?
It's easy. You measure the volume, and it's registered the volumes of the wings, and then you measure the volume of the fuel. If the fuel exceeds the wing capacity as volumic, it don't fit.
Would you be able to take a look at these these little drawings because I'm having a hard time explaining to them that you cannot get 2 city fuel trucks worth of fuel into one goddamn wing.
Well, I could check the volume of the fuel that claims to go into one wing and the volume of the wing, and if they don't match, then there's a problem.
Could you do that?
I can take a look for a Boeing 747 or a specific plane, yeah.
Well, the thing is, what would be the evidence of proof, right? Would it be a number on a document somewhere, or would it be actually filling the wing?
No, it's kind of square peg, round hole type of thing. You cannot put 2 gallons of milk in a 1-gallon bottle.
Thank you.
Well, you can on a 747. It's got a center tank. It was a bit of a cause of a problem, and it's always full of fuel.
You can in math.
Oh, just let me get this one detail out, because in the center tank of a 747, they have to have it full of fuel, because when they were leaving it empty, it was a fire hazard, because obviously it's just full of vapor. So it's always fueled, as far as I understood it, unless they've removed that tank now on a modern 747. But I don't think so. I think the design is exactly the same now as it ever was. So there is another tank on that particular plane, just so you know.
Well, some of them have a collapsible liner, so as the fuel is loose, the liner collapses and prevents vapor in a big chamber of, gas and air.
Ah, that's how they've got around it then. But nonetheless, there is another tank. It's just that particular plane. I just didn't want you to use that particular plane.
Okay, I'll use another one.
The A380 would be the best one that comes to mind.
I'll check it out, and I should be able to do that before tomorrow.
There's a better way to do it, because let's be honest, these planes are huge. Just look into the same argument, but apply it to the Formula 1 cars. Because they're supposed to have a 110-litre fuel tank, which, if you think about fish tanks, right, most of us have got access to, or at least know somebody with a 100-litre fuel tank. And it's pretty big. And they're telling us that they've got those same size fuel tanks in a Formula 1 car. Now, I accept that they must run on some amount of fuel, but there's no way there's a 100-litre fuel tank sat behind the driver on the size of the car that they're showing us that they have, because they're tiny. So there's no way that there's the volume of fuel there. But you try telling that to one of them stupid ballers, and they'll come out with all these diagrams and all these pictures that look like they're taken from...
Wait. You're saying that a Formula 1... They're claiming that the Formula 1 car has a 100-litre fuel tank. This is what they're claiming, right? But when they come in for a pit stop to refuel, a person has to come over there with the fuel tank in their hand and stick it into the pump and basically pump in the fuel. We've all seen that. It's gravity fed.
Hang on. No. They don't refuel Formula 1 cars anymore. They say it's for safety, but it's spawned the idea that they might not be off. What?
I was going to say, because the last time I was into Formula 1 racing, which I'm not anymore, was kind of it must be in the mid-90s, when Benetton were refueling, and they removed a particular filter attachment to get the fueling quicker. Verstappen. And it all burst into flames as a consequence.
Yeah, that was Jos Verstappen. That wasn't that. Obviously, that did happen, right? But now they're not allowed to refuel anymore mid-race, because they call it strategy and makes it more interesting because people can run out of fuel. But the bottom line is, the argument is that there's supposed to be a 110-litre fuel tank behind the driver, and the volume of space that actually takes up compared to the amount of space that's actually available when you add the engine to the gearbox to the differential, and then you add all the ancillaries like the air ducts and all the ancillaries to do with the air going in, the exhaust coming out, and the radiators and the intercooler and all the ancillaries that bolt onto the engine. There's no space left there anymore. You might have a small 25-litre tank, maybe a 40-litre tank, but there's definitely not 110 in it, because 110 litres is huge, and there just isn't that space there. But they will not accept it because they think it's a conspiracy. But look at the dimensions. There's just not the space there. It's obvious, but you have to be a moron to believe that there is, because it takes up a lot of space, 100 litres, and they just don't have that space. Cars are tiny.
I worked at an airport for almost, I would say almost 10 years.
Oh, that would be so good. Here it comes.
And I was working with these planes, and I never really thought about it at the time because I wasn't really into that, and this particular conspiracy wasn't out about that. But when I think about it now, and I look back, and the particular airline I used to work for, we used the A320s, right? And I mean, those wings weren't that big. Now, I understand there's most likely some type of chamber in the fuselage to maintain that fuel. But if they're saying that that's where the fuel's going into these wings, I mean, there's just no way that they're fitting as much fuel into those wings as they say they are.
The hydraulics for the flaps and all that stuff takes up a
right
lot.
Because the wings itself, like where you could actually fit fuel into, because the wings have a lot of moving parts. So where you could actually fit the fuel in there, I mean, it's just it doesn't even make sense when I think about it now.
And also, when you look at the size of the fuel, if you look at the size of the wings, they're actually quite thin. Now they're very
thin.
There is some depth to them, but there's nowhere near enough depth to create the volume that they say that's in there. Now, I'm not saying that they don't run on any fuel. They must run on fuel to some degree. But I agree that the capacity of what they're telling us is there definitely is not there.
Yeah, and at the time, because we didn't have all types of space on the ramp, the way they did it was they would have a truck come to the plane and connect one. They would have like two. It was kind of like a filter truck, something like that, right? So maybe I'm using the wrong word, but they would connect one hose into the ground, which is where technically the fuel would be coming from, and then they would connect that other hose up into the wing, and that's how they would fuel the plane, and these fuelers would sit there for most of the duration of while the plane's on the ground, which usually is supposed to be about a half-hour turnaround, all things going well. So these guys are fueling the plane for a half hour, and I mean, I don't know. I never thought about it at the time.
The fuel truck. Have you looked at the size of the fuel truck that they use to
the small.
Well, no. What I'm saying is for my airline anyway, the way they would do it, they wouldn't use an actual fuel truck carrying fuel. It would be like a truck that's got because the fuel was held underground, right? They don't bring the actual fuel truck into the airport to do that. I mean, maybe for other airlines, and if they would have them somewhere else, but in my particular airline, we didn't have the room for all that. So the fuel being held underground, that particular truck would show up, connect one hose into the ground, and connect the other one into the wing.
Oh, okay.
And that's how they would fuel the truck. So there was no way for me to tell how much fuel this thing is, actually pumping into the wing. But something I never thought about until now. But now I'm hearing how much fuel is supposed to be going in there. If it's supposed to be going into the wing, I don't know. That maybe a bigger plane, but the A320, there's no way.
Yeah, I agree.
No way.
Yeah, this is where it becomes like what's the word? It becomes I can't think what the word is, but it becomes silly to believe that the volume that they're telling you is going into the place that they're telling you is going in.
Discoherent.
Yeah, I guarantee you that there is fuel being pumped in there because I
agree.
Where I worked at the airport, I could smell it. Like being an airport worker, you actually get used to the smell of jet fuel, and I mean, they would do an air start to the engine. So now that I'm thinking about it, like I don't know, do they start the engine, using that air start and then keep with the compressed air, and then so where would the fuel come in? Does the fuel come in to maintain that engine while it's on, or does it just maintain in flight using the air? I mean, I don't know. I'm not, a mechanic in that way, but now that I'm thinking about it, like it's driving me nuts because I know there's no way you're fitting all that, tankers full of fuel into these wings, and even the fuselage, because the cargo doors, when they open, there's space. There's got to be the space for the luggage and all that, right? So I don't know. Just it doesn't make sense, And that's just coming from someone who worked at an airport.
Yeah, I totally agree. The volumes are not what they're telling us. It's a fraction of what they tell us. Makes you wonder why the cars can't run on such a small amount of fuel as well.
Well, even on another level, and a pilot in a small plane takes off, goes a few thousand feet in the air, can see land in a body of water and 100 miles away. and don't see 1 mile of curve. Everything is visually flat. No mile of curve in 100 miles. Why doesn't it register that it's flat?
Yeah.
It's a dissonance. It's like, you know, if you're told that there's an elephant in front of you, you'll start to believe it. You'll see an elephant. Psychics do it all the time. They can make you see UFOs. Go out with a psychic and 50 people, and he'll be looking up and pointing, and he'll see a UFO, and then all these sheep will see a UFO.
Yeah, I mean, if you get a packet of crisps and you don't tell them what flavor the crisps are, and you ask the person to guess the flavor based on the actual flavor, they'll always get it wrong. I mean, unless it's cheese and onion or salt and vinegar, because they're the two really strong flavor ones. But if you get them something that says like lamb and mince meat or whatever, I don't know.
Especially nowadays, there's a million flavors. It's not
there's a million flavors.
When we grew up.
Same thing with sound. Play a sound that's a little unusual. I remember when they introduced
ketchup. This was like so long ago. I remember, my God, how desperate can these people be when they introduce ketchup?
It's like sound. Play a sound to 50 people that's a little unusual, and they'll all hear something different in it.
No,
they'll all think it's this or that, or this or that.
They will all replicate something different. They'll all hear the exact same thing, but when you ask them to replicate it,
we'll all watch the same game of football, but we'll all interpret it different.
You know, it's so sad how they've got such a grip on, you know, pilots and the air industry that, you know, if they were to come out and say anything, they just automatically like lose their jobs. You know,
that's everywhere. That's guys who have punishment.
Yeah, I mean, these are the guys who have first-hand experience that we are not living on a ball. But
it's like if you don't go with the flow and the group think, there's something wrong with you. It's not wrong with you. It's wrong with the group.
You know, this you know, taken in the same context, but have you guys ever figured out why they killed JFK in a public style assassination? If
it wasn't more than a show.
Exactly.
All these people are actors and characters, and they're role playing all their lives. So why wasn't that a big show?
Exactly. So they basically wanted to show their power. All right. So when people say why doesn't some airplane pilot speak up? That's because there's someone who would come and basically say, would you like this cool job, or did you want to speak out against us and never work anywhere on this planet, even
and never be able to support your family? Yeah, you can't support your family, can't do what you love because you're going against scientific fact, quote unquote.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, you know exactly what to do. But if you liked the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you have not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!